the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. This is Mary Collins from LifeHakx Media, and I have the pleasure of having Eva Weisenbeck, our wellness and health guru, back online. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hello, Mary. I am doing really good. Thank you. I'm excited to be back chatting with you.
It's always a pleasure. We always have so much fun. And more importantly, we also bring a lot of seriously good advice with factual information onto the program. So speaking of that, what are we talking about today?
So today's short and sharp life hacks is be the perfect host.
Well, I mean, being the perfect host would be natural for me because I like to party. So what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so this could actually be one of your episodes for Stranger Than Fiction, which I quite like because it's a bit like, really?
Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, well done. So, the kind of question is, and I'll link back to the why we need to be the perfect host. Are we human? Or are we bacteria having a human experience?
Wow. I know I've called some people, like amoebas and worms, snakes, but what is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah,
what exactly?
So I find this fascinating. And I think actually, because of what's going on in the world as well, this is really, really important because we have a lot of warfare, which I will also explain later. 99% of our genes, of my genes, of your genes, are not human.
Okay, that makes sense, especially for me. Totally makes sense. 100%.
Stranger Than Fiction, no. But we are made up of, I'm going to call them bugs. I think that's kind of cute. But like bacteria, viruses, there's another one which I can never pronounce, protozoa, yeah. Protozoa, yeah. I'm playing my Swedish background there. Yeah, so we are like a universe. We are our own universe.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I do too. And if we're being a shit host, they're going to get angry, they're going to attack us, they're going to have the wrong kind of party, and they're going to wreck the neighborhood, all of these things.
Yeah. Mine definitely have the wrong kind of party all the time. All the time. When you're talking about the whole idea of our body being pretty much like, and it is, right? Kind of an ecosystem.
Yeah.
That must mean that it's very important to, like you said, be a good host, take care of that ecosystem because it could easily get out of balance, out of check. And can you give us some examples of what that means? What are the kind of symptoms or signs that you're not being a good host and that your body is like totally throwing the wrong kind of parties happening in your system?
Yeah. So, and actually, and then this is complex, and I'm by no means, I'm not an expert in this. I just find it so interesting, and I love my research. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people would assume that you would have gut issues, or like, you must have bloating or cramps or IBS or all these things. Yes. But it's not at all. Your body can be out of balance by you having a rash, by you having allergies, by you having
depression,
chronic pain, depression, mental health, and gut health is hugely linked, and there's more and more research coming out. That's so fascinating. So so anything, and actually, I loved this. I saw this last week. Sorry, I'm a bit bubbly today because it's like, oh my God, I'm in lockdown, but I'm seeing someone. This is so exciting.
Yeah. The sun is shining outside. Even though we're in here, we're bringing it in. We're bringing in that sunshine, roping it in.
Combination. So there's lots of really, really good research papers. So like if you go to the British Medical Journal or the JAMA or NICH, I think it is, it's like there is so much research on it, particularly I would say maybe in the last decade, in the last 10 years or so, the stomach, the gut microbiome. So microbiome is basically another word for like ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Yeah? That's when they've started I mean, they started researching it before then, but like in the last 10 years, you started seeing a lot more papers about it and the importance, and as you say, links to mental health and just generally how it's affected. I mean, it affects kind of, cancer, chronic conditions, all sorts. So, yeah, so we know so little even about just the gut microbiome that we talked about. And then we kind of branch into the fact that all our skin is covered, nasal, mouth, bits, everything. So there is a whole universe. And it just needs much, much more research.
Okay, fair enough. And so what are some of the ways that we take care of these bits and pieces? And what's the difference between good viruses and bad viruses and that sort of thing?
Doctors that I follow are saying the viruses is a little bit of a misnomer. It's a bit of an odd definition. And that there are things, and they're sort of exosomes, and they're moving through different stages and phases. I'm going to use syphilis as an example. Lyme disease is another one.
Okay.
Where you have like 4 or 5 different stages of life. And that's how a lot of these things, they stay so dormant in our body. Yeah. So same with like chickenpox. People will know that you have chickenpox as a child, and then, you still have them in your body. And then if
it becomes shingles.
It can. Yeah. But this is it. It only does if you are compromised. It only does if you are imbalanced.
Right.
You need triggers, and you need to like not be strong enough for your immune system to be able to handle it.
Right.
We've survived these things for a long, long time. Let me launch into this then. Slight segue. So I'll just quickly finish off. So exosomes, the fact that you have, so like, I don't even know what to call them. Well, let's call them viruses. So they can stay in like a cyst form, and they can be dormant for like decades even. And then they move through 4 phases, and finally they become the little spirochete, like a little spiral thing. And they're the ones that can drill through your tissues and go to all of your... I know. Then we're getting into, again, stranger than fiction.
Yeah, for real.
It's amazing. But again, they're not all bad. Oh God, I have to do a quick segue just because I find it so fascinating. I've actually just stumbled across some research, again, a research paper. I can link to it so people can read it. And it's tenuous because causation versus correlation is very difficult to prove in these things. But they came out and said that in children who have had chickenpox, they have a much less incident of brain tumors than those who have not. So they are investigating and thinking. So this is kind of where some of these viruses are really good for us. They actually do good things. They trigger your immune system in a good way, and they almost give you information and code. So there's a really fine balance between what's good for you and what can overwhelm you, and how healthy is your body. And
so this is something people need to realize, that some of these things actually build up our immunity. I mean, I hear that actually they're finding out from the 1950s now. They found out that, where they were telling parents to sterilize everything, bleach down everything and make everything super clean for children, is actually what has caused immune deficiency in children. It's caused them to have asthma. It's caused them to have allergies and breathing problems, bronchitis. Cesareans have caused children to be ill. Things that formula, we get it. Not everybody can breastfeed, but it's crazy that the medical community has stepped so far away from caring and trying to cure, and more about product placement and how to make money off of chemicals that shouldn't be in our body at all. So with that, you're talking about now viruses that could help us, and we have that thing. What did you say was like a virome?
Virome.
Ooh,
So you have the biome, which is all your bacteria. I guess there's a little cool geeky fact. So in your gut, your microbiome, so the microbes, they can weigh up to 5 pounds, which is 2 kilos.
Wow. That's all my weight gain. My biome are responsible.
So blame them. Because we're all about asking questions, Mary, aren't we? And getting curious. I'm going to pick up on this, which I think is really important. So we talked about, we can't have warfare with ourselves, and sterilizing everything isn't so good. And I think particularly now with everyone kind of like over sanitizing our hands. There's a huge difference between sterilizing and cleaning. And that's so important. Soap and water, if you're worried about, and I don't know if I should mention the C word or not, but like, if you're
see you next Tuesday. I'm going to start referring to the pandemic as the see you next Tuesday pandemic.
If you're worried about it, soap and water, anything, because it's fat soluble, it'll do the job. When you use a hand sanitizer, you kill everything. It's like a nuclear bomb. So everything that's good and trying to protect you, you kill. And there's lots of other research coming out as well, which is a bit more scary with it goes into your body and you do actually absorb it.
Your liver.
Your liver, and once you've done that and then you touch other chemicals, they absorb much more readily. So it's a huge thing. Anyway, so I will mention this, and I think, go and ask questions and do some reading and get curious. So there are two theories. These are old, but I like them. So what you hear a lot about is the germ theory. The counter to that is the terrain theory.
Okay. So explain to us.
So the main difference, and again, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I like these concepts and I think they're important. So the germ theory is the theory that germs are out to kill us. Basically, they are bad, they're nasty. It's them and us. Yeah. So you get a germ, you get a disease, you need to kill it. Simplistically, and that kind of. I'm not saying it's completely wrong or right. It works in some cases, and there's some nasty stuff out there that we don't want. I get that. But the terrain theory is much more about, it's about you. This is back to the ecosystem. Yeah. So being the perfect host, if you have fed them all the right fibers and all the right foods, and you're hydrating and you're not stressed and you're all of this. Yeah. They're super happy. They're like, yay, street party time. And you come across something and the body will just balance it out and you'll be in symbiosis.
What you want? Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.
So germ theory, sterilize, kill. You get a disease. It's inflicted upon you. Terrain. It's all about how your body is, and your immune system should be able to handle these things. So if you're treating patients with that in mind, you are doing everything you can to strengthen the body, support the immune system, and then the immune system will do the balancing.
Will do its job, exactly.
Instead of the kind of the warfare killing attitude, where there's so much collateral damage.
I agree. Dr. Vishal from the Swiss Mountain Clinic that was one of her things. She says the fever is so important. Your fever is what kind of gets rid of the stuff that's not supposed to be there. It alerts the natural bacteria and organisms in your body to tell it, hey, there's something going on. Soldiers, off you go and fix it. And that's maybe what people need to start thinking about, is that being the perfect host is almost like being, like you said, queen or king or emperor of the universe that is you, and knowing how to command your soldiers, how to command your court, how to entertain your guests. And that is actually, that is going to go on Stranger Than Fiction. I think I'm going to make up a fairy tale based on organisms. So that would be the first part of being part one of our new series, Be a Good Host, or segment, which is, figure out who you are to your body. Are you the ruler of your own body? And if you are, do you want to start a war? Or do you want to figure a way of entertaining the frenemy or the enemy and making them work for you? So hacks number one for that would be...
So very quickly, I would say hacks number one, prebiotic and probiotic. So you need to feed all the bacteria the right fibers. And then you can also have probiotics. So things like, the live yogurts, the fermented foods. So, it's a bit of a sandwich, but we can go through it in more detail.
Okay. So
the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx.
Need to, in very short summary, we do need to be a good host, because 99% of our genes are not human. We are basically aliens. No,
we have aliens living on our mass anyway. Around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but I love this, Mary. You and I've talked about it, and we need to change how we view ourselves. So we are a complete ecosystem. We are a universe. You are the queen of you, and you need to have a happy kingdom and make sure that everything works. Because we are literally just bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoal. Here we go again. My favorite word.
Partyzoas.
Partyzoa. We should rename them. That'll be much better. But yeah, and they all need to be happy and content. If they're out of balance, we are susceptible to disease and illness. If they are happy and in balance, not a problem.
Okay. And then, as we talked before, it's all about that balance and not the difference between what germ warfare and terrain, whether we were, what's it called again?
Yeah, the germ theory and terrain theory. So germ theory is basically germs are bad, we must kill them. Terrain theory is we are the terrain. If we feed ourselves well and make sure that we're in balance, our body will self-heal, because that's what it does. It wants us to be, we're the host. Why would they kill us? They don't want to.
Right. So it is like that balance, making sure that you invite a great diversity of people, as it were, to your party, but keeping the rowdy ones under control, because they may be very beneficial, so those feisty friends. But if they get out of hand, they could destroy the environment around them.
So now we're going to go mega specific and keeping it simple and say, okay, so great. We know we need to be a good host and look after ourselves. We know we need to stay metabolically flexible, because then we have low levels of inflammation. So everything is happy again. How do we do it? And I love this. This is again
the chocolate and wine
in small doses. This is bad. Well, see, this is the thing, because you're right. If you are metabolically flexible and healthy, you can have these things. Yeah, because then it's all kind of like in balance. But if that's all you're eating or drinking, then no, it's not going to be very good.
Yeah.
So my favorite cardiologist in the UK is Seema Malhotra. He's just amazing. And he has this thing, which I love, which is basically, if any food you pick up and you look at it has more than 5 ingredients, put it back.
Yes.
It's going to be ultra processed. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go through what is an ultra processed food.
Okay.
Because that's just the easiest and simplest way you can feel better and be a good host.
And there are apps out there that will help you do this, where you can scan the back of products and it will actually tell you how many carbs, how much fat, how much protein, how many sugars, etc. are in these things. So as well as the ingredients, it doesn't take that long to look. So give us an example, Eva.
Yeah. So actually you're absolutely spot on. So it is the fact that it's the processing of the foods. That's where you start, because they kind of break them up, so the body can't really recognize them anymore. The body kind of goes, "What? Okay, I'm trying to come up with an example. Let's go for yogurt."
RNA. Sorry.
Yogurt. So we have critical thinking, Mary, our favorite topic. Yogurt isn't good or bad. It depends on your body and it depends on the yogurt. Is it raw and kind of like with berries but no sugar, and has it been naturally fermented? Wonderful. Or is it kind of like really stressed and they've had colorings, they had emulsifiers to make it thick because they haven't actually fermented it properly? It doesn't contain any live bacteria and is full of sugar or sweetness, even worse. It's like, it's not going to be good for you. So just
even orange juice, right? You think you're drinking orange juice, but it's concentrated orange juice. No, not necessarily.
There's kind of nothing in there, really. Yeah, just eat the orange. Just eat the orange. But I find this fascinating, so I will go through this quickly. So, ultra-processed food in the UK, over 50% of what we eat is classed as ultra-processed.
Terrible.
And
I know that in the US it's even worse. I know that they've shown comparisons to fast food joints, and it's crazy the amount of extra processing that people in the US's products go through. It's poison. It's pure poison.
It is. And they also have a lot of more kind of colorings and artificial additives allowed that the EU doesn't currently. So, yeah, it's really important. So, yeah, cut out ultra-processed food and just kind of eat real food. Just basic. That's
be like a caveman. Just go into the store and sniff it.
Well, we do.
Don't lick the packaging.
It goes back to our episode, Eat Like a Bear, wasn't it? You know, nuts, fish and berries and stuff. You're probably fine.
Yeah, exactly. And eat in moderation, of course, as well, you know, just because you think I love going into fast food joints and looking at people like, I'll take a salad and I'll take a Diet Coke. And, you know, it's like, wait a minute, you just took Diet Coke and I'll take that, you know, salad dressing that's got 1,000 calories in it. It's like, forget it. Just eat a burger. Take the bun. Take the bun off.
Actually, yeah. Because a burger, fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with it. It depends how it's been produced.
And what's with it, what you're eating with it, exactly.
Of course. Yeah.
So, okay, so your top hacks then is read the ingredients. Yeah,
anything more than 5, or if you don't recognize them, that's a pretty good sign. If you don't know what they mean, put it back on the shelf.
Bin it.
Yeah, preferably. Preferably. There's another amazing doctor called Mark Hyman. I'll link to him too. And he sort of says, well, you know, Mother Nature doesn't have any labels, so why should we buy any food with labels?
Exactly. And don't just trust something because it says organic or bio, because the industry knows how to manipulate those words, and it's nonsense. A lot of the stuff that they say is I think, like, for instance, in Switzerland, there are rules where they're not allowed to actually keep certain animals, like in batteries, you know, so when it's like range free, it's because all of them are range free if they're from Switzerland, you know, so it's like, no, you're not paying an extra 5 francs for that.
You're so, oh my God, we could do a whole nother episode of labels, actually, because the whole healthy, low fat, low sugar, no added sugar is a fascinating one, because there's so many different names for it and types that they're allowed to use. And
and also e-numbers. We definitely will have to have a subject about that, because are all e-numbers bad?
I would have said no. But I think, again, it's a case of knowing which ones and why do you want them in your food.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Eva. It's been a pleasure. And as usual, people, you can go on to LifeHakx with a K and an X.com to find out more information about wellness, health, and so much more. And of course, check out Eva's coaching page, also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Eva.
Thanks, Mary.
The best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. LifeHakx. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. LifeHakx. LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X on Radio X.